I always want to let people know that you've got to be mindful that when there's a crisis, when something like this happens, there could be a correction.
I'm George Markowski and welcome to the Positive Property Show. Our mission is to empower 10,000 people to create financial freedom through property using the Markowski method. Join us.
Hello from George Markowski and Belinda coming to you live around Australia.
Fantastic.
Australian property investors, but also I'm on our podcast, which is called the Positive Property Show. Yes, lucky I remember the name. Awesome. Now, welcome. Now, if you're watching live, please type in #live. And for those people that are watching the replay, because I'm always watching the refeed, type in #replay just so I know that you're watching. Now, tonight's going to be a big show, and look, there's a lot going on at the moment. A lot of people are scared, and quite frankly, the economy could be changing quite a bit, and we've got a lot to talk about tonight.
Well, look, I mean, most people out there are, saying it's going to be the next World War III, so it's pretty scary.
Well, look, we've had 2 years of COVID, and finally we're just coming out.
I know.
And suddenly Putin goes, "Hold my beer." And right, and so we're going to talk a bit about the Russian-Ukrainian conflict tonight.
Yep.
I'm going to talk about the economy, the world economy, commodities, consumer index. There's a lot to go through, guys, but it's important because at the end of the day, you need to educate yourself if you want to elevate yourself.
Correct.
Right? And one thing, if you know a bit about me, I'm a bit of a nerd, and I really look at the numbers. And this is why I've become so successful, is because I don't use emotion. Because at the moment, a lot of people are emotional. People aren't not sure, should they buy, should they sell? Do I get out of real estate? Do I keep in real estate? Well, look, I'm going to tell you the winners and losers, because some property is going to lose, some property is going to win, and I'm going to tell you who's who in the zoo and what's going to happen, and how you can take advantage of the turmoil. See, in China, the symbol for danger is the same symbol as opportunity.
I love it. That's great.
Because danger equals opportunity. It certainly does. So, and that's what happens when there's danger, when there's things like this happening, you need to know there's a lot of opportunities as well.
Yep.
Now, let me just change my microphone to see if you can hear me properly. Can you hear me? Can you still hear me?
I can hear you.
Great. Because I want to make sure that I've got the right...
Maybe we should ask in the social media. Can you still hear me? Can we get a little...
Yeah, guys, if you can hear me, type in we can hear Georgie Porgy,
or just G to G. Good to go.
Oh, can't you write Georgie Porgy pudding pie? Okay. So, just to let you guys know, I've recently come back from a big trip to Queensland.
I know. Welcome back.
I was in Noosa on a mastermind, and we had an amazing time. So we spent a bit of time with a gentleman called Taki Moore, and he is actually one of the top coaches in the world who teaches coaches.
Fantastic.
And like people like Alex Hormezi and all these people that have done, they've got $50 million, $100 million businesses. In their books, when they write their books, they're writing, "Taki, thank you so much for your help." That's how good he is. He's excellent. And Taki recently bought himself a $6 million house, and he invited us, a small group of us, to come and hang out and really talk strategy about business, which is very exciting.
Yes.
Then suddenly we had 30 days worth of rain in one day while I was in Noosa.
Yes.
And it was flooded like crazy.
Like most of Queensland, yep.
And then on the way up there, my plane had mechanical problems, so we had to do an emergency landing in Brisbane. Then I had to hire a car because I didn't want to waste time getting a bus. And we had to drive up to Noosa. Love Noosa. It's such a beautiful place. We had a ball. Lovely people there. So friendly. And then we drove down to Queensland, to Gold Coast, and ended up staying at the Versace.
Yes.
And we were very fortunate. They upgraded us. And we got this beautiful suite with your own walk-in wardrobe, lounge room, the pool overlooking everything. So had a wonderful time. Now, I ended up seeing a lot of people and doing a lot of business as I do because I can't help myself. I didn't even get one day in front of the pool.
Oh, wow.
I went jet skiing one day, which is great, but that was more of a business jet ski.
Yep.
But but there you go. That's the way it is sometimes. And you know what I'm like. I can't help it.
Absolutely.
So what's happened to consumer confidence? That's the number one thing we need to look at.
Let's
And
get
look,
back into it. Let's get to the nitty gritty.
well, it's not looking good. Consumer confidence actually has gone down because of the floods, the WA COVID, and the war. So it's actually gone down 2.6%.
Yeah, wow.
Property prices in Sydney have fallen,
Yes.
right? So there's a lot going on. Petrol prices have gone through the roof.
That was expected anyway, wasn't it, really?
Well, because what's happened is Russia invaded Ukraine.
Yep.
And now I'm not going to get into the politics because there's two sides to the story.
I mean, absolutely. And we're not here to talk politics anyway because...
No, but I want to give my two bobs anyway. So I'm going to tell you the way I feel about it anyway. I don't care.
That's fine. We're happy with that.
So,
I think you're going to do it anyway, George. So
it's complicated. It's not black and white. Nothing is. Right? And there's a lot of history there and everything else like that. But the deal is, there's only one thing we can sort of say is, regardless of how complicated, and regardless of what other people have done, invading another country and killing innocent people is not a good thing. I don't care what your excuses are. I don't care if you think America did it and now you can do it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make it right. So I personally think that it doesn't matter what your gripe is. As a country, using military to attack your neighbours, a sovereign country, is not really the right thing to do.
yeah.
But I know it's complicated. I'm not going to go. But also, at the end of the day, it's the Russian government. It's not the Russians themselves. So, just because people are Russians doesn't mean they're bad. I know I've got some Russian friends and they're great people. And they did invade Ukraine. They're living in Australia, right?
Yes.
And I've got lots of Ukrainian friends and they're great people as well.
Yes.
And, I stand with them on their country getting attacked. You know what I mean? So me personally, I'm not taking sides. I take the side of, hey, no one should be shooting anyone.
Yep.
Or killing anyone, and maybe we should sort things out diplomatically. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. Now, the deal is the EU, Australia, and America have put sanctions on Russia. They've slapped them with sanctions, and Russia is actually quite a big energy exporter of energy. They export gas, oil, mining stuff, and commodities. They're quite big in that.
Big players.
Yeah. So, one thing is people are saying that Putin actually saved us from World War III. Now, that's an interesting thing to say. Why is that? Well, see, Russia are quite self-sufficient. They've got a lot of energy. And they've got a lot of reserves overseas. So they're planning on this. But putting sanctions on Russia, what happens is you limit the supply of oil and you're actually making Russia more wealthy in that sector because they've got lots of oil. So it's a bit, you know what I mean? So it's hard because the world's so interconnected. It's hard to punish a country without punishing yourself at the same time.
Yeah, wow.
Right? So the one thing China will probably get out of this is, China's a lot more interconnected and China really relies on world trade. And if China attacked Taiwan and the world cut her off from global trade, it would be devastating for China, where Russia might be able to handle it.
Correct.
That's part of the reason people are saying, Vladimir Putin may have saved us from World War III because now China going to go, oh no, we can't really attack Taiwan because we're going to be screwed financially, completely. Where I don't know if Putin really cares about the financial side, but I don't know. I don't know Putin. I don't know what he's like. So let's start with some good news before we get into the nitty-gritty of the war.
I mean, the thing that I see about the whole Putin thing is he just wants to be, he wants to create a legacy, he wants to be in the history books as like the mighty conqueror, Maybe.
I don't know. I mean, look, part of it's to do with NATO expansion, so it's quite complicated and delicate. And, that's the challenge of how complicated it is. It's not really one-dimensional.
Yeah, it isn't one-dimensional.
Yeah, it's not. So, and also the challenge is there's so much propaganda on both sides that we don't know what's true.
Correct.
Like they've got the ghost of Ukraine who's apparently shot down all these planes, and they're all saying, Russia has got air superiority, but then they overtook an airport using helicopters. If they didn't have air superiority, they wouldn't be able to do that. So,
yeah, I know.
Then I saw this video of a Ukrainian, trying to push a tank backwards from Russia. and then they sort of got out and moved him out the way. I mean, if that happened in Iraq with the American invasion, it would have been a very different story. He wouldn't have been alive. Because, so
interesting.
Let's talk about the good news first. Trade balance.
Yeah, let's start getting into, like, as I said, the nitty gritty and what does it mean for property prices?
So Australian trades balance has even gone up even more now, right? And it rose by 8%. If people don't understand what trade balance is, I'll explain this to you. Let's
put it in layman terms.
Okay, so it's like a scale, and you got divinity out, divinity in, right? You got, I know you'd laugh at that one. A lot of people don't get that one. But what happens is, it's like if you're going to a nightclub, right? 5 people leave, 4 people go in, right? Now, with this, what it is as a country, we export, let's say, 100 billion worth of goods.
Yep. And
import 80 billion. Therefore, we've got a surplus of 20 billion because we export more than we import. Right? So it's a bit like, if I get paid $1,000 this week and I spend $800, I still got $200 left. Mm-hmm. But if I get paid $1,000 but I spend $2,000, that's a deficit.
Yes.
Now, Australia, our trade surplus just keeps going up. And now it rose by 3,487 million, which is like $3.4 billion, right?
Wow.
That's because of our exports of metal ores and minerals.
Yeah.
Right? But our goods and services debts fell by $500 million.
And so the goods and services, so let's go into
stuff that we buy from other countries. So what's happening is we're buying less from overseas, but exporting more overseas. So what's happened is we're going to positive trade balance, which is really, really good, really powerful. But
healthy.
But it's even better than what it was before.
Yeah.
Now, this is the funny thing. I've got a prediction about what's going to happen here, and this is pretty important. Right?
Do tell, little birdie.
Yes. Now, but let me tell you what the CBA chief says about the Russian war.
What?
The CBA chief says the Russian war to have minimal impact on local economy.
Okay.
Right? Now, I actually disagree with it.
So you're saying it's that war over Ukraine is not going to affect.
He's saying it won't. I'm saying it will.
There's areas being bombed.
No. He's saying it's not going to affect Australia.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. Sorry. Now we're on the same page.
No, he's not talking about, but it will. No. It already has. Because look at our petrol prices.
Hey, it will.
Have you been to the petrol station lately?
Sorry?
Have you been to the petrol station lately?
No, I haven't. I ride a bike.
Well, I haven't either. But a friend of mine recently said on Facebook, he said, look, I don't normally brag when I go to very expensive places, but I just came back to the petrol station. That was a friend of mine, Goro. So, look, the deal is it's already affected us, and it will. Because the thing is, even before Putin's troops invaded Ukraine, right, the global economy was straining under a range of surging inflation, tangled supply chains, and tumbling stock prices.
Yeah, right.
And now what's happened is the Ukraine crisis is going to magnify each threat and even complicate it even more. Now, the thing is, the fact of it is we are actually in uncharted territory.
Yeah.
Right? See, there's going to be consequences. We just don't know exactly how we're going to predict them. But what I say is that the history doesn't repeat, but it always rhymes a little bit. And there's a lot to say of what's happened in the past. Now, what's going to happen to Ukraine's economy? Well, if you look at what's happened to Iraq and Afghanistan, where they got bombed badly, and if Russia keeps going, the economy is going to just drop by 70%.
Yep.
You can't have a good economy when you're getting bombed.
No, of course not.
What's happened is they've banned people got men from 18 to 60 leaving the country. They have to stay and fight. Wow. But women and children are leaving. They're teaching people how to create Molotov cocktails and giving people weapons.
That's crazy.
And so the EU, France, Germany, America, they've said, we're going to help you. And they said, okay. It's a bit like this. I saw this cartoon, which is funny. They're like, the wizard is off to fight Putin, the dragon, you know what I mean? And they go, we're going to help you. Here's my great bow. Here's my axe. Here's my sword. Off you go. Have fun. Right?
I've seen a couple of crazy memes on social media for sure.
Yes. And the fact of it is, I mean, Russia's the second most powerful country in the world, and it's next door to Ukraine. So the supply chains aren't that much of a problem. It's going to be challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. So wouldn't you say at the end of the day, I mean, when you've got all this stuff happening overseas in these kind of countries, doesn't it make it more safe being little Australia and this island on the edge?
You look, the deal is
because I'm speaking to a lot of expats in Holland and places like that, and they're feeling like
back here. Yep, exactly.
And look, they want to move back.
What was happening is we were getting a bit of competition for immigration. That competition's gone now. They're all coming back here. But also, we're probably going to have a lot of Ukrainians here now too.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Ukrainians are hardworking people, right?
Yep.
And they're great people, so that'd be great.
Yep. My hairdresser's Ukrainian. She's a hard worker.
You know what?
Partner.
There's a lot of supermodels there, Ukrainian. They're pretty hot.
Okay.
Bring
them to Australia.
Actually, I actually dated quite a few Ukrainian women in the past.
Sure you did.
I learned a bit of Ukrainian, which is great.
Look, that kind of block. Poland, Polish women, they're stunning.
Look, all women are stunning anyway. But anyway, look, the fact of it is, Russia and Ukraine they're less than 2% of the world economy.
Yeah. Okay. So put it in perspective.
Yes, but the Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe, and also a lot of African countries rely on Ukraine for wheat.
Oh wow! I didn't know that.
Yeah, the most fertile land in the world is Ukraine.
Wow.
Then America, USA. So anyway, basically, what's going to happen is the wheat maybe it's going to be terrible for Africa because they've already got a challenge when it comes to food. So this is going to put prices up for food.
Yeah. Also, the last thing those poor Africans need.
Well, guess who is one of the biggest supplier of wheat in the world? Australia.
Well, I was just about to say, must be up there.
So guess what's going to happen? Prices are going to go up, which is actually good for our economy.
Okay, fantastic.
Then, Russia supplies gas. Who's one of the biggest gas suppliers in the world?
Hello.
Australia.
Correct.
So what's going to happen to gas prices? They've already tripled already. That's going to go up, which means more mining jobs, more gas jobs, more stuff.
Yep.
Another thing that Russia exports is aluminium. Guess who's one of the biggest exporters of aluminium?
You're kidding.
Australia. Actually, Gladstone's one of the biggest places.
Oh, God, Gladstone.
Yes. So it looks like I reckon Gladstone could be in for a bit of a surge.
Wow.
So aluminium, petrol,
wheat,
everything's going to go up. But not only that, we were already having inflation before this.
Yes.
Now, when petrol goes up, petroleum, I should say, it's not petrol, it's petroleum, because petroleum is a lot more than just petrol.
Yeah.
Look, guys, I'd like to know people's, opinions on what's going to happen to the Australian economy with all this, if you want to type in the chat. But when petroleum goes up,
little freedom fighters out there, add your little 2 bobs worth.
Yeah, I enjoyed the conversation, guys. I'd love to conversation, please. But petroleum affects everything. Mm-hmm. So, for example, red meat is already more expensive in the supermarket now. And you're thinking, well, how does that work? Well, petroleum is used in agriculture. Of
course it is.
To get the water out there, in transport, in everything.
Yep, the whole lot.
Yes.
Transporting them around, getting them exactly. Machinery, full stop.
So everything in the supermarket, everything is going to go up.
Yeah, right.
That's the fact of it. And you know what that means? When everything goes up, that's called inflation.
Yeah.
So Russia has already got a lot of inflation now. They've put the interest rate up to try to counter it.
Yeah, I saw something like 20%. Is that what I read?
No, I don't think it's 20%, no. But they put
I heard one of their interest rates was 20%.
Put the interest rate up. They doubled it. But so except for wages. Yes. So look, wages have been the RBA has been saying that unless wages go up in real terms over 3%, that we're not going to be seeing a rate hike. But a lot of people are thinking because of petroleum going up, that the RBA may be forced to do a rate hike. So they're in two sort of spheres, so we don't know what's going to happen there. Right? So, but also, I mean, what happened to the Australian share market once the war opened up? It got smashed.
Yeah, smashed.
The biggest trading session, 18 months, because of the Ukraine war.
Yeah, wow.
So the stock market is going to get hit again.
Yeah.
And you think Australia's bad. Wait till you see Europe's stock market.
Yeah.
But not only that, in Europe, without energy, people freeze in winter.
Yeah.
And guess who they rely on for energy?
Hello.
It's going to happen. What's going to happen is it's going to be even harder.
Yeah.
Right? Because they rely on a lot of energy from Russia.
Yes.
Now, back in the 70s, when petroleum went up, inflation went up in lockstep. So normally what happens is petroleum goes up, inflation goes up. However, things have changed now because we don't rely on petroleum like we used to. And because of that, I don't think it's going to correlate just as well. But you look at the America, right? It's going to be a lot worse there because in the US, inflation has hit a 40-year high already.
Wow. Yeah, absolutely. Should we read some of these comments that just came through just to kind of...
Yeah.
Someone wrote, if 5 people come out of the nightclub, why are only 4 allowed back in?
Exactly. Doesn't it? Especially in Melbourne, that's what happens, isn't it?
They're asking the question, why is that?
I don't know. It's a mystery, but it always happens.
So another one was supply and demand is already affected and the floods will impact on new projects.
Yes, the floods have made it a little bit harder and slowed supply down.
Yeah. Except wages, question mark.
Yes, wages are probably not going to go up the same. Look, the thing is, usually we've got commodity prices going up, we're in a super cycle for commodity prices, and commodity prices are going to go up. So what's going to happen is, you look at aluminium now.
Yep.
That's going to be a mini boom there. A lot of people are going to get jobs. Because what happens in Australia is when we have a mine, especially like copper mines, right?
Yep.
Copper prices go down, we close the copper mine down.
Yeah.
Then copper prices go up, they go in and open it again. And then they hire all these people.
Yeah.
So basically, them putting sanctions on Russia is actually going to help Australia's economy quite a bit.
Yeah, wow.
So
when you look at it from that perspective.
And we're already going through a commodity boom, but now it's going to be even bigger.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and you know what happened in the last commodity boom? Our prices for property went through the roof.
Yeah, of course they did.
Right? Now, the fact is, there could be a small correction.
Uh-huh.
Right? There's always that opportunity, and I always want to let people know that you've got to be mindful that when there's a crisis, when something like this happens, there could be a correction.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And, property prices are already falling in Sydney. I expect them to fall in Melbourne, and they may fall even more. Also, governments are trying to force people to come back to the CBD, but they don't want to go back.
Yeah.
So all the new migrants might help do the whole CBD thing as well.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. And someone wrote, we've already had inflation due to COVID. How is this any different?
No, it's not different. It's just a different type of inflation.
That's it. Absolutely.
So the last inflation we'd have was money printing, right? Quantitative easing.
Mm-hmm.
And now the new inflation is going to be petroleum.
Yep.
Now, unfortunately, right, this is the unfortunate part. The fact of it is, and this is what has been happening in the world over and over again, the people at the bottom are going to be the biggest losers again.
Yeah, I know.
So when there's inflation, all the people that are, below the middle class end up poorer, and the rich end up richer, and the people that have got hard assets are going to end up with more money, and the people that don't have hard assets are going to end up with a lot less.
Yeah.
And so it's good. It's good for us. It's good for us if we've got lots of hard assets. It's good for us if we invest in property, but we don't take risks and make sure that we've got the cash flow calculator right, so you don't you can survive the dip. Because what may happen, property may dip, but it doesn't matter. The long-term effect's the most important thing. You know what I mean? So, you know, if you aren't planning for a dip, if you aren't preparing for a dip, then you should not be investing because you need to have the contingency plan, because no matter what investment you've got, whether it's property, stocks, gold, Bitcoin, there's going to be a dip. And you need to be able to wear that dip. You need to anticipate it. If you're not anticipating a dip, if you think that property prices are always going to go up and never go down, or any price of any investment, then you're in trouble. Now, someone's saying, what are hard assets?
What are hard assets?
A hard asset is one hard asset, which is super hard, is property. Why is it hard? Because it's physical, it's there, right? So that's a hard asset.
So give us an example of a soft asset. Would that be kind of just to give a bit of perspective so we know who's who?
Okay. A soft asset is currency.
Okay.
Right?
So
dollars in the bank. Dollars in the bank.
Dollars in the bank.
Yeah. So if you've got dollars in the bank, that's called a soft asset. Why? Because it floats up and down a lot easier. But what happens to inflation? What happens to dollars?
Well, there's nothing of it.
They go down in value. Right? So
and down and up and down.
Yes. So what happens is, so if meat costs more money, what does that do to your pay packet? It shrinks your pay packet. What does it do to your bank account? Shrinks your bank account.
Yep.
Property prices go up. What does it do to your bank account?
Go bigger.
No, it shrinks it.
No, it shrinks. Sorry, because
Yeah. So
yep.
what are we going to do is we're going to think about relativity, right? So what Einstein was saying is everything affects everything else. So nothing's in a vacuum. So your money in the bank is only relative to other things in the world.
Aha.
And that's the important thing.
Put that little comment in.
Someone did this great.
Pop it in.
This Facebook user, thank you. Hit your head on brick and mortar, it hurts hard. Hit your head on paper, shares of dollars, it doesn't hurt. Exactly.
That's a great way to look at it.
That's a really good way to look at hard assets and soft assets, right? All the women know hard assets are better than soft assets.
Ha!
Because women love gold and diamonds, and they're both hard assets, right?
Correct, absolutely. 100%.
So, I'm going to continue going on about this war and what's going to happen.
Keep going, George. You're on a roll.
So, 1970s, petroleum went up, inflation went up. But then we had another surge in the 80s, and what happened was, because now we've got renewables, we're not as sufficient of petroleum, so it's not going to affect inflation as it used to, but it still will. Now, I don't know if you know, but every commodity or everything you buy has got a thing called price elasticity. Elasticity, right? Am I pronouncing it right?
I don't know, but you're talking elastic, right?
Yeah.
Like elastic band.
Yeah, so the price is elastic. I'm going to try to explain this, okay? So different things have got different price elasticity numbers. So petrol, for example, has got a rating of 0.3.
Yeah, right.
Now, you may ask, what does that mean?
What does that mean, George?
Okay, so that means that for every hike in 10% in petrol prices, there's 3% fall of demand. So let's say there's 100 people buying petrol.
Yep.
If petrol goes up 10%, 3 of those people are going to go, nah, I don't want to buy petrol anymore.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's called price elasticity, right? And that happens with bread, milk, with everything.
Yep.
Like, for example, if lamb went up 100%, then people would be buying beef instead of lamb. They're going to say, I don't want lamb anymore.
Yeah, forget it. Absolutely.
Even Australia Day, So everything has got a elastic price, and there's only a certain amount of people willing to pay more. Now, what happens with petrol is you can't just say, I don't want to buy petrol.
Yep. Some people, you can't just not say you're buying petrol. But there is a percentage of people who go, forget it, I'm riding my bike.
Yes, one thing for that. But also what happens is the long term. See, back in the 70s, what happened was petrol price went through the roof. and people started buying small cars.
Yes.
Then back in 2008, petrol dropped to nothing. People started buying SUVs.
Yeah.
So back in 2008, I don't know if you remember, where was it, 2008, when petrol price was zero at one stage. And they were actually paying you to take the petrol out. Remember that, when Australia bought all that petrol reserves?
That's right. Jesus, that's oof, a while back.
Yeah. I think it was 2018. That's when it happened.
Yeah.
Yes, it was fascinating. So someone's saying Russia and Australia limited economic ties. This war, however, has a ripple effect in the global economy as reached Australia already. Absolutely. Yes. We've got very limited economic ties. And also, I mean, Russia and Ukraine are only 2% of the economy, world economy. Australia is only about the same. So really, at the end of the day, if it was China involved in this war, it'd be very different for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It'd be a different situation.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's interesting that we all switched to SUVs, and then 2008 we moved on to SUVs.
Yeah.
Right, but now our Australian petrol price is a record high at the moment.
Yeah, wow.
However, our petrol prices are still, out of all the advanced countries, probably the cheapest in the world. There's only, I mean, out of all the OPEC countries, we're down right at the bottom. We're the fourth cheapest.
Wow.
So we're really, really not affected much by petrol price at all.
Yeah.
Right? So, which is good. So Australia is good that way as well.
Oh, that just encouraged me. I just pumped up the tyres on my bike and took it out for a ride today. So it looks like I'm just going to stick with that and save my money.
And now, if you look at Australian net savings.
Yeah, curious. Far away.
It is the second highest it's ever been in history.
Wow.
Is Russia setting a precedent for China? Look, I think the exact opposite, actually. So, funny enough, the head of China, he rang Putin and said, "Can you wait till after the Olympics?" You know, look, seriously, he did. Because, you know, he's like, "Oh, look."
Real, isn't it? Wait till after the Olympics.
It's funny how, what happened was America saw the intel. And they rang China and said, "Hey, looks like Russia's going to invade." And he rang Russia and said, "Mate, they know you're going to invade." Right? Interesting. But he wanted to wait till after his party. You know, you don't want your best friend having a fight before your birthday party.
Correct.
Now,
absolutely.
Is Russia setting a precedent for China? It is, but in a good way. Because no one expected the whole world to just blockade Russia so badly. And I really think, Russia can handle it, but China, no. China would be screwed if they invaded Taiwan and everyone just stopped dealing with them. The economy would go through the roof, go down. A lot of people would lose money. The Chinese would not be happy with the government. And governments don't want to do anything to piss off their people.
Yeah.
Right? So that's part of the reason the sanctions, they're hitting them in sanctions, because they want people in Russia pissed off with Putin so they get a new person in charge. He's already been in charge for 20 years. Long enough.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. That's fascinating. Any other stats up your little sleeve there, Georgie?
Look, now that immigration has been rebooted, rental growth is red hot again. So our rents are going to go through the roof again as well. I was
going to say we needed to bring something regarding the rents as well, for sure.
Yeah, so look, guys, I really think at the end of the day, if you're going to invest in property, get ready for a dip in case it happens. If it doesn't happen, bonus.
Yeah.
Prepare anyway.
Prepare for the worst, and anything else is a bonus plan if it doesn't, you know.
The deal is get in there before inflation. So what's going to happen? This is what I predict is going to happen. The people because we've got the biggest savings in the world now, in Australia, we're the richest country in the world. Those savings are going to get destroyed by inflation.
Yes.
Right? So what you need to do is you need to get those soft assets.
Get them out of the bank. Get them
hard.
Yep.
The number one thing you can do in a crisis, get your war chest up, is, when there's because we don't know, we don't know what's going to happen in this war. It might get worse. And if another country starts getting involved, then it gets even worse. Like, it's pretty bad.
Yeah.
You really want hard assets at a time like this to really weather the storm. But also, what's happening, I predict inflation is going to be worse than I really originally thought it was. It was already bad, right? Already at a 40-year high. going to get worse. So inflation's like what it was, back in the 80s,
Yep.
but could get worse. But it is going to get, not could get, it is going to get worse. So, when you're talking a 40-year high, this is going to be the biggest wealth transfer in human history, right? What's going to happen is all the people that have got money in the bank, all your wealth is going to go to people with hard assets.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's saying building a property portfolio currently. What are your thoughts on dual occupancy houses? There's a saying, an old saying that's been said years and years and years ago about eggs in a basket. And a dual occupancy house is putting 2 eggs in one basket. So unless you got 500 eggs, don't do it. I suggest you always put your eggs in different baskets.
Yep.
Actually, don't even mind the same suburb ever again.
Even if it was the best suburb?
Even if it's the best suburb, don't do it again, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because don't put your eggs in one basket. It's one of the oldest sayings in history, but it's an amazing saying. It's very important because it's so, so important that, I've seen investors invest in one area and get totally wiped out.
Yeah.
Whether it's a mining town, a boom town, tourist town, I've seen people get wiped out in mining towns, one-horse towns. I've seen people get wiped out in tourist towns, in Cairns, totally wiped out. Tornado came down. This guy had all these units. He was making huge rentals, but then they all just died. So it doesn't matter how good it is. Don't put your eggs in one basket. I suggest, what I would do is, by Brisbane, then by Perth, then by Adelaide, you've got to change states. I really think, you want to be in every state in Australia.
Yeah.
Then you're covered.
Well, that diversifies your risk as well,
Well, look what's happening in Auckland now.
I don't know. I've been a bit...
The median house price is 1.5 million.
You're kidding. So I had friends who missed out on that boom and their property that they were in, and when they left, it went just through, it almost doubled overnight.
Yeah.
So you're saying that's just, wow.
One of the reasons I tell people don't sell, I'll just keep telling people don't sell.
Yep.
Because you just don't know. And property just keeps going up. So why would you sell something that's going to keep going up?
Yeah, it seems crazy.
Okay, someone's saying even hard assets. Okay, this is a good question, actually. Even if the hard assets are costing you to hold, i.e. loans, equity loans, strata, look, you don't want to be in a position, especially now, because what's going to happen is we're going to have our wallets and our pay packets tightened up.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fact of it. So you don't want to be in a position of losing money on your hard assets.
Yeah.
Get hard assets that aren't costing you money. Get hard assets that are easy to own. This is not the time to be leveraged too high and negative geared, right?
Yeah.
I'll be saying, negative gearing sucks. Robert Kiyosaki wanted to ban it. I don't want to ban it. I think it's great. But what I don't like about negative gearing is people that use it wrongly and lose money to lose money. What you want to do is you want to be negative geared, positive cash flow. And that's the way. Get the structure right.
Get the structure right from the beginning. Work out a blueprint and really make sure you've got that as your plan of action.
Yeah. So do we have super houses, shares, or even collectible cars to have more baskets? That's a really good question. And this is the deal, right? Robert Kiyosaki, me, George Markowski, Warren Buffett, the top investors in the world, they say don't diversify.
Okay.
All right, shock horror. Just saying don't diversify, right? Now, you might be saying eggs in one basket, but don't diversify. Why are you saying the opposite?
Just contradicted yourself.
Yeah, I haven't actually.
I don't understand it.
Because you've got to understand the nuance. So the fact of it is you need a winning horse to win a race, right? There's no point having a donkey and trying to win a race.
Yeah.
Correct? You're not going to win.
Yep.
So having, a donkey, a sheep, a kangaroo, and a goat ain't going to help you win the Melbourne Cup. Correct?
But
you need a thoroughbred horse designed to win the Melbourne Cup, Yes or no?
Yes, of course, absolutely.
Yes. Right. Now, if you had a Melbourne Cup winner, right, you wouldn't buy its sister or brother. You'd buy another Melbourne Cup winner that's got a genetic diversity that's different. So
Yeah.
when you've got a Melbourne Cup winner, you try to get a different diversity of genetics. So therefore you're covered there. It's a bit
Yeah.
like that. But you don't buy a goat to try to win the Melbourne Cup, right? So the problem is, shares are soft assets. They're going to drop. Collectible cars may go up, but they don't earn you an income, right? So really, you've got to stick to one thing that you're really, really good at, one winning combination. Warren Buffett says don't diversify. You know who tells you to diversify? I'll tell you who tells you to diversify. This always happens. Go to a financial planner, and guess what they'll say? We're going to diversify. We're going to put you here, 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 here. You know why they're doing that? I'll give you a secret, right? And a lot of not every financial planner is like this, because I know quite a few that are very smart and really good at what they do. But the reason they get you to diversification is because they don't know what they're doing. Right? And what they're doing is putting in 10, 20 different things and going, hopefully one of these is going to work. And you can go, yes, I did the right thing.
Cross your fingers.
If they knew which one was going to win, if you were on the roulette wheel and you knew number 33 was going to win, why would you go 12, 10, 11, 12, 13, whatever?
Absolutely.
I know property's going to win. I've got conviction, right? That's the number I'm putting my money on. I know because I've done this over and over again, right? For over 25 years, and I've helped thousands of people invest in property. And, I am very clear and I really know what's going to happen. And that's where I'm putting my money, because I know I'm going to get the return every time.
Yeah.
I'm on the winning number. I'm in the casino. I know which number's going to win. Those other numbers, they may win. Collectible cars may go up. Some shares may go up. Super may go up. But you know what? Don't speculate. Don't be like the financial planners, because I spent last weekend with a bunch of millionaires, right? Some of these people are doing 85 million a year.
Wow.
Right? Now, they've only got one or two baskets they're really good at.
Yeah.
One is business, and the other one is property.
Yep.
Every single one of them.
Yep.
Right? And what they do is they use business to make money. They use property to invest their money.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. I was going to just say, going back to that as well, you want to be a laser beam as well. Like for me personally, I wouldn't want to invest in shares or collectible cars. I got no idea. Even if someone said, "Oh, Belinda, buy that car. It's going to make you 10 grand in 2 years," I'd still be like, "Well, where am I going to put it? What am I going to?"
But this is the deal, though. I mean, people don't necessarily need collectible cars.
Yeah.
Right? It's
But
not,
even if someone said it was
it's not a necessity, though.
It's
but
not
one thing that's a necessity is property. They need to live somewhere. You can't buy a collectible car and live in it.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring up the next question.
What's the perfect real estate market going to do in your opinion? I've got a lot to talk about that, but I'm going to be talking about it tonight in our private group.
Yeah,
right.
Members only.
Maybe that it could be a member, who knows? But
George's insight info.
Yes, because I like to share all this new stuff with our members first and then to the general public. But look, Perth's good, but you've got to get your timing right. And I've got, what we're going to do is follow the 7 o'clock. And at the moment, it's Brisbane. It's moving to 8. And then I'm going to be moving to Adelaide or Perth. And I'll be announcing that next week or two where I'm moving to.
Yeah, beautiful. Happy days. Love it.
Excellent.
Love it.
I'm glad you understand. That's excellent. So, guys, look, I think that's it from us.
I think we're done. Absolutely. Well,
so
that's
questions, go for
a lot of
it.
interesting stuff that had come up.
Yeah, so the point is, there's a lot going on. And here in Australia, we're in a very fortunate position where COVID didn't had a good effect on us. And we've come out the strongest country in the world. We could possibly come out the strongest again. And actually, we will.
Who needs the Olympics?
Exactly. So
We've
look,
got our own stuff going on. Woohoo!
So when you think about it, we're in a very, very fortunate position here. So the one thing I will get to say to everyone, don't squander this. When your kids...
Are you taking your bike out to tonight's dinner?
Okay.
Oh, that's what I said. I'm riding my bike.
All right, yeah.
No, I'm not.
All right. So one thing I want to tell you guys. Okay, one thing is, this Saturday, I'm doing an encore event with Rob Kiyosaki to talk to you about the winners and losers of the new economy.
Yay.
So if you guys want to come to the wealth, type
Masters of Wealth.
in hashtag Masters of Wealth and come along to our encore. Now, the fact of it is, looking back, you're going to be getting people asking you with these amazing times because we've lived through the biggest pandemic and now this is the biggest war in Europe since World War II.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So looking back, you were part of history.
Yes.
And people are going to ask you and say, look, what did you do?
Where were you? Where were you when 2000 happened?
Yeah.
You know,
And
same for you.
your kids are going to go, wow, did you become, or your grandkids are going to go, wow, did you become a property multi-millionaire like everyone else did? Or did you sit on the sidelines? Yeah, and they're going to ask you that question. And hopefully you can answer because now is the one opportunity you've got to build a massive property portfolio.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I'm buying like crazy at the moment.
Yeah, I want to get one in my super as well. So definitely.
That's it. Well, I'm going to see at the Sherp tonight, Belinda.
Yes, absolutely. Happy days.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful time. And look, my heart goes out to all the, innocent people that are getting killed. And hopefully,
Not that they'll get that message, but we're talking to families and associated friends and
families and friends.
And look, I've got a lot of Ukrainian friends. You've got a lot of Ukrainian. We've got a lot of Russian. We've got Russian people as members,
Yeah, exactly.
So we feel for everyone.
So, look, at the end of the day, I really hope that the killing can stop and they can get a diplomatic answer and everything turns out better. And just hope they limit it and, not too many people die. It's sad when this is happening in modern day Europe. I'm just shocked that it could ever happen. You know what I mean?
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
It is what it is and hope we get through it.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Have a great week. See you next week. Ciao, ciao.
Thank you for listening. I'm grateful for all our listeners around the world. If you found this podcast valuable, please share with someone that might find this useful. And please join our tribe of purpose-driven investors, increasing income and impact in our Facebook group, Positive Property. Please note, with a multi-million-dollar property portfolio and a passive income, I've become incredibly successful in investing in property. The fact of it is, however, many people may find investing in property challenging. It's not easy, and it takes a lot of hard work. However, becoming educated to make an informed decision and having the right advisors gives you the tools you need to succeed. The most important part of this formula, however, is to actually take action and apply that knowledge. It is important to understand the information I share is of a general nature only and is not taking into account your unique circumstances. If you're considering investing in any asset class, you need to seek the advice of an independent professional advisor who will be able to look at your specific situation. Be sure your advisor has actually achieved the kind of results you're seeking. Many won't have, so beware. We've taken great care putting those educational resources together. We'd be surprised if you didn't find any errors or omissions. If you do, our legal team says we have to say we're not responsible for those. In fact, as with all things, even your success, we're not responsible. That responsibility always has and always will come down to you and the actions you take. We're passionate about supporting you in that process and helping you increase your ability to create wealth, live the life you desire, and provide all the things you dream of for you and your family.